I'm really concerned about homeschooling. My name's Johnny and I work in live events and online content delivery and e-learning. Since lockdown happened, a lot of educators and teachers have been launched into my world. They've been brave, they've been courageous, and they've done some fantastic work. But there's a lot of technical barriers to our young people being able to learn right now, and I want to try and share some of the things that I do in my work to the educators out there so you can implement the same stuff we've been doing for years in your schools. So today, what my team and I are doing is we're donating a broadcast system to a local school. The reason for that is we want to see how well what we do translates into traditional learning, and also to see what opportunities there are to make learning using our technology better. Now, I'm not doing this with high-level broadcast equipment and fancy cameras and media servers and stuff. I'm doing this with all consumer-level equipment that people can buy online. Why am I doing that? The reason is I want you to copy this. I want you to look at what I'm doing. I want you to nick the ideas. I want you to implement them. I want you to build these systems with your students if you can, because you know what? The way in which they're learning can then become the learning itself. The process of delivery, how content's being delivered, and the technology behind it can in itself become one of the richest learning experiences that our young people can gain from this lockdown experience. So now we're going to get on the road, we're going to set the system up, I'm going to show you everything, how the whole lot works, how to set it up, and where to buy the kit from. How many hours a day are you doing a virtual learning versus is it like a few hours a day or what?
Okay, so
for the whole day?
We do like check-ins, yeah.
Fine.
We have I do like half-hour check-in deliveries at the moment, but that could all change.
Yeah.
Usually at like 9:30, 11 o'clock, and then an afternoon session, and we have a story at the end of the day, don't we?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like 4 in a day.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing more, or I have been this week, because I've got nearly all my children at home. My children are this big,
Okay.
and my laptop sits here, and that means that if I'm holding something, the children who are at home can see a reading of
Fine.
whatever it is, and the kids here have got enough space to make sure they can see it too without blocking the camera.
So that was really interesting. I spoke to the teachers and found out the way they were currently delivering their lessons, and it seemed to me there were multiple different formats they're using. There's lecture, there's them having a conversation with the kids in the room and remotely, there's also one-to-one time, there's also group learning, and there was also them delivering content for the kids to learn at home. Now, what we're going to try and do is make it so the kids at home get an enhanced experience that might be better than the in-classroom experience, and also that the kids in the classroom aren't feeling left out. But I think most importantly, I'm no teacher, is that kids go to school not because of the teachers, because they want to hang out with their mates. So the more we can do to try and link up the kids at home with the kids at school to make it feel like they're having a connected social experience, the better. So that is what we're going to try and do now. Going to set this stuff up and see how it goes with these teachers. So what we did then was set up a different scene for story time. What this is a much closer camera, so it's more intimate between me and the people I'm reading a story to, and the ability to show the pages of the story. What we've done for this one, because we're reading The Snail and the Whale, is I'm in the ocean. If you look at that screen there, you'll see there's loads of fish behind me. There's not really fish behind me though, there's a green bit of fabric behind me. But what that's doing is chopping out that bit of colour, making a thing called an alpha channel, also known as a matte, which basically deletes the background. So where there's green, what you see instead is the underwater scene. So I'm hoping that's going to contextualise story time for kids better in a way that gives them like a visual anchor, as well as the spoken word and the pictures, to maybe richen up the learning experience. I'm hoping, but we'll see. We spent about 5 minutes teaching the teachers how to use OBS and all the equipment they've got. Within a couple of minutes, they're really excited by it, and they now know how to do all the programming and the compositing themselves. I think anyone who's got basic IT skills or computer skills can do this themselves, and they instantly get creative with it and they get excited about it. So again, it's exciting for me that people are finding the medium of teaching a thing they can learn themselves, and the medium become the thing they are learning. So I like that kind of circular nature of learning and how the delivery is a teaching itself. I think it's really, really good. And hopefully off the back of this, I'm hoping all our kids are going to learn how to use technology to break down geographic boundaries and to share knowledge globally at scale in a really, really efficient way. was really good fun installing all that kit today for the school, and I want to talk through each of the elements that we used in the hope that you can use them in your schools. So the main things in the systems were webcams. They're the devices that are cameras that get the image of what they see and put them into the computer and then put them through your online learning platform. Today we're using things like Logitech C920s. These are consumer level webcams, quite good ones, but any USB webcam will do the same thing. So if you've got a webcam with a USB plug on it, that's all you need. A couple of them's fantastic. One can do the wide shot and one can do a much closer up shot of things like reading books or doing work on a table. Sound, I think, is one of the most important things with remote learning. So today we're using a lapel mic, much like the one I'm using here, with a wireless transmitter. What that meant was the teacher can clip the microphone on and they can walk around the room with the students picking up on the sound. The system we used today was a Rode Wireless to Go, but you can also use things like the Sennheiser SXW system as well, which is also very good. You're going to spend probably a chunk of your money on them. They're about 150, maybe 200 pounds for the system, but they're worth it. If you want to go for a cheaper option, you can do a wired system. That means there's a microphone clipped on and that plugs back into the computer, but that removes the teacher's ability to move around as freely. I would say though the microphone is the most important thing and the one thing you should spend good money on. Now, something that might have looked a bit confusing today was when the teacher had the laptop and they were feeding that laptop feed into the separate computer. I'd like to explain the difference between those two computers. When you've got your teaching laptop, forget that using Teams or Zooms or Hangout or whatever. Treat that as a device you're using for your PowerPoint playback or for showing pictures. It doesn't do the call itself. You're going to use the graphics output like the video plug, and that's going to feed into the main computer. Now the main computer, that's the device where all the brainy stuff happens. On that machine, we're going to have OBS. That's the free piece of software. We're then going to also plug in the peripherals like the webcams and the sound cards, and we're also going to use that one to link up with Teams or Zooms or run it into the internet. Now the hub of the whole system, which is where the technical sophistication is in the software. The program we used today was called OBS Studio. It's free and it blows my mind. When I started in my career like 10, 15 years ago, to do what that program does would cost hundreds of £1,000s in top-end broadcast gear. Now, that's free software, it's really stable, and it's unbelievably easy to use. That's OBS Studio. Download it for free, start playing with it. If you can't, find someone else who's a bit techie, it's really not that difficult, and start playing around. Now, the other reason OBS Studio is so fantastic is it's got an awesome online community around it. If you're stuck for anything, you type the question in Google and you'll find 5 or 6 nerds like me who have made videos explaining it, or there'll be tutorials on how to fix it. OBS Studio, get it. Okay, now the green screen. I've got one behind me here. People are like, oh, green screen, really sophisticated, really expensive. Not at all. All a green screen is a piece of fabric which is green, which the computer can get and can cut out the green. Now you don't have to use broadcast grade fabric, and you don't have to use a green one. Any fabric of a specific color will work. Now ideally, you want a color that's as different from other clothes you might wear. So blue would be really bad right now because I would become invisible. Colors like a gray would be almost impossible because it's not a color, it's a tone. You need a color. So if you've got a bed sheet, or even if you could paint a wall purple or green or whatever, that will work. If you do have access to it though, get a really, really matted, like non-shiny green fabric if possible. That can be a felt or a taffeta or a wool or whatever. You can also buy systems like this. This is one of the Elgato pull-down screens. I use these at home. They're maybe 100, 200 pounds. They're quite expensive, but not too bad. But for education, buy fabric off the roll and pin it to the wall. Just make sure it's fireproofed. Lighting as well is pretty important. I would say for educational uses, it's the least important because having bad lighting is not going to undermine your education delivery. What I would say though is try and avoid spaces where you get direct sunlight, because if you have a shard of light come on your face in the day, it's going to overexpose the camera and then you won't see what's going on. So just go for somewhere with consistent lighting. If you do have the space or a bit of spare funds, get something like a ring light, like this one but bigger. Newer makes some great products, but you can also just use old theatre lights, and you'd be amazed what can be done with desk lamps as well. I mean, I wouldn't use them professionally, but a couple of desk lamps are actually very, very effective for doing a bit of light on the face of the teachers. So another thing that's vital is the students being able to interact with the students from home. We're trying to break down these barriers in terms of the kids feeling like they're with each other. So on that front, you need to have a nice big TV, anything will do, and on that you want to show the multi-view of the children from home, subject to your safeguarding policies, so they can see that. The audio for that as well is important. You could use a TV sound, or you could just buy a basic little hi-fi system, or even like a little USB kind of powered speaker thing. You don't need anything fancy at all. The objective is being able to hear the students who are at home. As long as it can do that, you're doing just fine. Now that's loads of techie stuff, great, whatever, but I think the real opportunity here is the fact we've got our young people who are moving into a world where it's all about digital and online communication and learning. We need to give them the skills to use this equipment in a way that is natural to them, and they can be creative and they can express their passion through it. So again, this format of delivery can then become something the kids can get really passionate about, and the kids can engage with the process and they can help the teachers deliver on the messaging. And I love the idea of the education process and the education content coming together to get some really, really good learning outcomes. And again, don't forget, these kids are going into a world where these skills right now might be embryonic. In a few years, they are going to be seriously important. In my world right now, these skills are critical. If you don't have them, you don't get to work in my industry. So let's please break down the educational barriers, break down the geographic barriers, help the kids learn and engage, even if they can't be in school, and let's not leave kids behind when it comes to these educational challenges we're having right now. So that's all from me, Johnny Palmer. I'm the founder and owner of Pytch, and we're an events, AV, awards show, content, e-learning, studio, virtual events business, everything media, tech and art comes together. I'm doing this stuff because I want to serve you people to help do better educational work for our young people, to give them a better future and give them better lives. I don't want to sell anything to the educational sector. I want to keep supporting you. And I'm really, really happy to do any public speaking or workshops where I can maximize the benefit to as many teachers as possible. Now, something that's very easy for me to do is answer more questions. If you've got questions about the stuff I've talked about, fire them across to me, and my camera crew and I will answer the questions through the format of video. We'll do demos, we can send you links, whatever. Just get in contact. I really enjoy this stuff, and you're helping me because it helps me build my gamut of knowledge and also my presentation skills to share this knowledge. So I hope to see you soon, like and subscribe and all that, and maybe see you at the National Teachers Union Conference or something in the future.